and welcome to SELINTalks. Thank you so much for being part of this, Aarna. I'm so excited about this podcast. SELINTalks is a podcast initiated by Selling Club. I'm sure you've read about it. And we talk a lot about your personal journey. We'll talk about your professional journey, family businesses, women on entrepreneurship, and a lot more in the between. How do you feel?
I'm absolutely delighted to have this conversation with you and to whatever future conversations and we are going to have. And I did read about Selling Club. I did read about you, and it's quite amazing and impressive indeed how you have picked on the interesting topics, the untouched topics, which people usually don't talk about. Like even if you see influencers topic, these are the same old repeated talks and conversations that they are having with the known celebrities. But then when it comes to real conversations is something that I'm always looking out for.
I'm so glad. And I think we will be brewing one of the most original and, conversation that are not actually spoken about. So to begin with, Aarna, can you share your personal story about what sparked your passion for education and the intersection between innovation and technology and becoming an entrepreneur in education? I mean, that's the question.
Shruti, the story began, somewhere 15 years back when I was in college. And I was a part of a student formula racing car team. So our idea was to make a prototype, and we went to different universities and colleges just to perform in Italy and Germany. We were being given a very peculiar responsibility of being a part of making difference. Now, these were the underprivileged children of Tamil Nadu, and we were supposed to go and simply teach them and give them the exposure that they did not have. That is when I had this realization that there is a huge void in the education industry. I mean, of course, we had schools and colleges. Of course, I knew a lot. But then I realized when you go to a root level, to the limited resources that these kids had, to the education institutes had, and the ways which they are using in terms of making the best utilization of that, it was heartbreaking. And when we realized it, even after getting a lot of opportunities with all the good universities, I dropped the idea of MS. I stayed here with the family business of schools and colleges. And we realized, I started working towards it, and I realized because the traditional system of an approach of teaching, it has led to a lot of untapped potential in the children. And we're not talking about kids 10 years back. We're talking about the kids, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. These kids are already born smart. They are born with the technology. And we put a lot of barriers, filters, just so that we make sure that they are disciplined enough to come out as the same robots we expect them to. But looking into how the things are going, you cannot expect Gen Zs to be this. They are who they are. And that untapped potential, we needed to upskill our kids to come out with the individual personality that they have, which schools and colleges usually don't cater to. So that is what led me to come up with my own venture by the name of Skilleasy, where we are upskilling the children and we are giving them the experiential learning environment wherein every child gets the personalized way of learning. We are not telling them to rote learn something, memorize something. The child can be creative enough to come up with their own solutions of a problem. And that is when you come to know, okay, this is the real DNA of the child. Because never to forget, everybody has a separate DNA, but we end up forgetting the uniqueness in our DNA with the time and system and the traditional method of teaching.
Oh, wow. I think we're too used to being put in labels and boxes. And I think only after a lot of somebody who's seen things very close up and somebody who's faced this and somebody who's doing something in this, that emotion part of it, a lot of times I've heard that you should keep business and emotion aside, but somehow it actually fuels it. It's the fuel that is running. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenge and opportunity when it comes to Gen Z that they face in, the entire landscape of education? What is this like? What is the biggest challenge according to you?
The biggest challenge which I feel the Gen Zs they face is the being in the digital era, the overloaded information. I mean, if you talk about the information which they synthesize, they are not able to synthesize the entire information. So when it comes to be it social media, be it YouTube, they are consuming so much of data in certain different point of time that becomes the biggest challenge for them. But if you talk about opportunities, the same things can be leveraged to looking out for educational resources, to understanding a concept better, to try to create a roadmap for themselves through the opportunities which are listed online, to get an internship for themselves. So again, the opportunities are very limitless, provided they know how well they are able to synthesize the information which is there on the net.
Aarna, you've been vocal about importance of women's involvement in business, and while I second that a lot, can you tell us about your journey in that perspective?
I think women has a very important role in the business, and I consider every woman who's a part of the business as the CEO. And when I say CEO, that means Chief Emotional Officer.
Wow, beautifully put.
So when we talk about the CEO concept of being a Chief Emotional Officer, when you talk about a family business, it comes up with beautiful complexities of dealing with people, of dealing with family members, keeping a balance between what you're doing at the family business, what kind of decisions you want to make, how do you want to take the next step, do you envision the growth together, and that takes a lot of that basically expects all the fingers of the hand to work together. And being a part of a family business and being a girl, I have seen myself being in a situation where I have channelized the energy, the emotions of different people in the family business into a way where we end up understanding that the intention is always very clear and it's the same. But the way we put out sometimes could be different. So starting with being a CEO to then seeing things with a very different angle. A small example of my mother, as I said at the beginning of the conversation, she is the backbone of whatever we are today. And when I say that, she's like a feather on the hat. She has built everything from scratch. Not in terms of the curriculum, not in terms of the entire system and processes, but in terms of the people that we have built. Today, Shruti, we have more than 80% of the people who have worked with us for more than 20 years.
That's brilliant.
Exactly. And that was only possible when everybody realizes we are here for the good, we work as a family. And the culture that we have in the school, and I'm very happy to mention that it takes the culture and the skill development that we are coming up with, it has become a USP for the group of schools. Small example, here you'll see when you go around the schools and colleges, especially in schools, you'll always see a Cambridgean saying Namaskar, not good morning. So the Indian-like values where the children understand that I can put my point, I can ask why, the why not, but at the same time, I need to respect the other person. And that builds confidence, that builds humility, and that builds a culture which has actually come from my mother. And so when you define a role of a woman, it just cannot be few words or few pages or few sentences. It's the entire bigger picture in itself. And it's very few people in the family businesses, they understand the value until a certain age where they realize, okay, she built an empire, she is sustaining the empire. Okay, now with her, I'm able to see the text. So fortunately, with me and my elder brother and my sister-in-law, we are able to bring such a beautiful amalgamation of skill sets and thoughts that together we see the same intention, we see the same vision, but we have taken our own arenas which we are good at and we are progressing.
Beautifully put. I think culture, when it comes to culture, how whatever the companies or institution or any organization that you build, it has to be top down. Like you said, your mom is the, the torch bearer of it. It's always top down. It's not, no matter how many classes you attend on being a good boss and things like that, it has to come from within, and it is always top down. I wanted to ask you related to, there's a whole concept about there's a whole talk about feminism, and there's toxic femininity and a lot of other things that are being talked about. Have you ever faced gender biased outside? I'm not talking about your entire this thing, but in the industry, but outside your domain, that the kind of talks that goes to ladki hai, beti hai, and things like that. Have you heard those cliche remarks?
I would definitely tell yes, and I cannot agree to any girl who would say, I have not heard that. But
Oh yeah.
so I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to this is something which people, very fortunately, the girls, the women, they have started to talk about it. But then over a period of time, see, when it first happened with me, and it was definitely outside the work zone, and I immediately questioned, because see, I was never raised like that. My father has never raised me like that. He has seen my brother and he has seen me, and they know they both they don't he doesn't see me as a son, but he knows that they are equal, and that's how we've been treated. So many a times, in fact, some of my professors in the conversation, it came out in the conversation that like it was a typical family business topic, and they said, no, like as a girl, I think you should take a step back. You could do this. Let your brother do it. And I said, sir, wait. I mean, everything was fine here, but then why do you say that? Like, do you feel I'm not good enough, or I cannot be as good as my brother or anybody else? Forget about my brother, any guy in the world or any other women also in the world. Why to compare on the first place? So it took me, I'll tell you, it took me a couple of days to digest the fact that somebody could have that thought process and somebody could comment so harshly without even putting a thought over it. But then it's very important for us as a women to be numb to couple of situations, to couple of remarks, and to still do whatever we are born to do. Because once you do, I'll tell you, you must have heard this, logo ka kaam hai bolna. So people speak. When you're not doing anything, they speak. When you're doing something, they still speak. So it's just a matter of time. And I have seen this in front of me itself. Like I've witnessed it to the time when I was just growing in that typical transforming phase, to now that I see myself. Those people say, and they say, oh, I want my daughter to be like her. I want my, I want so and so working in the family business to see things the way she does. She is way she has way more wisdom, and she is more older than the way she looks. So this is something which I feel, and I have realized, you have to be numb to a couple of situations. Stay numb.
Yeah.
Whatever you are supposed to do, block those comments from the naysayers.
I think that's just, it's sad and good at the same time. I mean, till what point are you going to listen to people talk about things and kind of meddle with your work? I mean, that is the thing. Coming back to the innovation and the entire education arena, can you share an anecdote that truly solidify your decision to bridge the gap between the traditional education and the innovation and technology and skills? Any anecdote would work.
So I'll tell you, when you talk about bridging the gap, what would work best is to understand the kids and the kind of growth that you're looking out for. One thing that I have seen repeatedly in our education system is, in fact, everywhere, anywhere in the world, we try to copy paste the system. This is happening in Finland, let's copy paste it. It doesn't work like that. India comes with a different demography, it comes with a different culture, different background. Every state and it's different. How can you copy paste something? So I would suggest a biggest anecdote with any educator or a curriculum developer has to understand is, understand who you are catering to and develop and do the changes as per to the need. And when it comes to technology, let's leverage the technology rather than making it as seeing this as a distraction for the kids. Because when you actually see how kids seamlessly take the advantage of or utilize the resources, you will be amazed by the fact that they'll not be actually using ChatGPT to complete their assignment. They'll be using ChatGPT to come up with a creative solution for a problem which has been given to them. So it's just a matter of understanding your who you are catering to, and then making a flexible changes to that rather than copy pasting the systems.
I think as easy as it sounds, and very kindly you have put it, the copy paste. If people are not ready to accept it, that's one thing that I'm going to put it out. It's just so common. There is so many differences between countries abroad, and then India as a country with so much diversity in its own. We talk about diversity outside, we should look at in our own. वो कहते हैं ना, अपने पहले उसमें झांक के देखो. We have so much diversity, and we are kind of keeping everybody in the same boxes, same labels, same, marks and grades and things like that. I think this is very brilliantly said, and I really thank you for that, because people don't talk about it. People don't talk about it as much as they should, and they don't take steps towards it.
Absolutely.
You have correctly mentioned Finland. Of course, beautiful country. The things that they are doing are amazing and things like that. How much can you apply here? How much can you apply here, actually? And if you're learning something from Finland, great. Come back and probably innovate it more to be used by Indian students and professors and educators. And I think that is really nice. How do you ensure your educators or your teachers to be able to understand the kind of, because obviously there must be a lot of age gap. I won't call it age gap, but age differences are there. A lot of them are from the older side of the section, and a lot of them must be really young as teachers and educators. How do you kind of bridge that gap when it comes to a student and teacher, relations?
So when you talk about this is what I put in the category of upskilling the teachers with the foundational trending knowledge, at the same time the skill sets required with the right set of technology use. When you talk about that, Shruti, it is very important. We have a team which is an R&D team. So R&D team works solely on understanding what is the changing trends, what is it that can be implemented, how can it be implemented, and these are the group of educators in itself. And their work itself is to observe the classes, their work itself is to understand the kids, their work itself is to keep up with the trending technologies. And time to time we have meetings, we have workshop for the kids. If you talk about Corona, like that happened after COVID, every teacher is on laptop. They know how to operate Zoom. Now I'm talking about basics. This, when you talk about the use of AI, something which is highly trending, many people are talking about AI, but they actually don't know what is going to be the positives, the negatives, and how to utilize those things. So this is where the R&D team comes into the picture. We have certain set of workshops to make them understand, okay, this is what is happening around the world. This is for your knowledge. What are we going to do? We try, as I said, nothing copy-pasted works. So then you have to understand the system, and who's better than understanding our own systems? So we know what is going to work, and with small pieces in terms of projects, in terms of PBLs, in terms of different workshops and competitions, we implement these technologies in our curriculum. So rather than having an entire long process of trials, repeated trials, and then you end up damaging a lot. So instead of that, we realized, let's have a team of professionals who understand what is happening. Is it going to be good for the children or not? How we are going to change our current systems in such a beautiful way that it's a smooth transition and not abruptly changing anything.
Yeah.
So this is how, as I said, it's not so easy as it looks, but then it has to come up with every coordinators, every HODs, every educators' involvement, inclusive of the class teachers inside the class. So you have to work at the root level, make them come to a same level, then row the same boat together in terms of making those small changes rather than, because during these trials you end up damaging a lot, as I said.
Right.
So in order to eradicate that entire process, we work on the R&D first. and then in small bits, we implement it in the system to see and map the results. How is it? What kind of results are we able to see? If it is good, then we implement it in the rest of the process.
Very nice. It's quite like it sounds very simple, but I'm very sure how much efforts and time and research and the kind of involvement you must have in that is really commendable. First of all, I want to say that. I really hope this goes about multifold, because it's not just the need of the hour, it is very, very important as well. It's just not some, it's not just about milestones anymore. It is about the future of global citizens that are coming up, and the way they will come up, the way they will be, their energies will be utilized, their skills will be utilized, will actually determine the next about 100 years of our world, not just our country. I mean, whenever I think about citizenship, I think about on a global level, because our students, our kids are going everywhere, and every other kids are also coming to our nation. So when it comes to global citizenship, I really hope that this important step of yours and the work that you're doing makes such an impact that you're global very fast, very soon, obviously, but in sustainable manner. But yeah, this needs to really, really, kind of spread.
Thank you so much.
I think we should do another episode on the methods that you have, so that we talk about more towards that. But this was a great, great episode, and I'm so thankful that you were here, you took out time. So I'm very glad that we have started off with such brilliant energy like yours, and thank you so much.